The fluorescent lights of St. Mary's Hospital emergency room hummed with an unforgiving brightness that made everything feel too real, too sharp. Marcus Thompson's hands trembled as he carried his 7-year-old daughter Lily through the automatic doors. Her small body was limp against his chest, her breathing shallow and labored. The November rain had soaked through both their clothes during the frantic drive from their apartment in Brooklyn. "Please, someone help!" Marcus's voice cracked as he stumbled toward the intake desk. "My daughter, she can't breathe properly." A young nurse looked up from her computer screen, her expression shifting instantly from routine boredom to alert concern. "What happened?" she asked, already moving around the desk. "She has asthma. Severe asthma," Marcus gasped, trying to catch his own breath. "Her inhaler isn't working. She woke up an hour ago, couldn't breathe, and I didn't know what else to do." "Udil." The nurse pressed a button on the wall, and within seconds a medical team appeared with a gurney. Marcus laid Lily down gently, his heart shattering at the sight of her pale lips and the way her chest heaved with each struggled breath. Her brown eyes, usually so full of mischief and light, were glazed with fear and exhaustion. "Lily, baby, stay with me," Marcus whispered, gripping her small hand. "You're going to be okay. Daddy's here." The medical team worked with practiced efficiency, attaching monitors and starting an oxygen line. A doctor in blue scrubs, Dr. Patterson, according to her name tag, began asking rapid-fire questions while examining Lily. "How long has she been like this?" "About an hour and a half, maybe 2. "Any fever?" "I don't think so. I didn't have time to check properly." "Is she on any medications?" Marcus rattled off the list he'd memorized by heart. Every medication, every dosage, every timing. Being a single father had taught him to be meticulous about these things. After Sarah left 3 years ago, unable to handle the stress of Lily's chronic illness, Marcus had become both mother and father, nurse and provider. They wheeled Lily into a treatment room, and Marcus followed close behind, his wet shoes squeaking on the linoleum floor. The hospital smell, that distinctive mixture of disinfectant and anxiety, made his stomach turn. He'd been here too many times before, but it never got easier. Dr. Patterson administered a nebulizer treatment while Marcus stood at the foot of the bed, feeling utterly helpless. This was the part he hated most, watching his daughter suffer while he could do nothing but wait and pray. "Mr. Thompson," Dr. Patterson's voice cut through his spiraling thoughts. "We're going to admit her for observation. Her oxygen levels are too low, and we need to stabilize her breathing before we can even think about sending her home." Marcus nodded, running a hand through his damp hair. "Whatever she needs, just please help her." As they prepared to move Lily to a room upstairs, Marcus pulled out his phone with shaking hands. 3 missed calls from his boss at the construction site. A text reminding him about tomorrow's important meeting with potential investors. He closed his eyes briefly, then typed out a message. "Family emergency. Won't be in tomorrow. Sorry." The response came almost immediately. "Marcus, this is the 3rd time this month. We need to talk." He shoved the phone back in his pocket. Right now, nothing else mattered except Lily. By midnight, they were settled in a small room on the pediatric floor. The walls were painted a cheerful yellow, decorated with cartoon animals that seemed almost mocking in their brightness. Lily was sleeping fitfully, her breathing still assisted by an oxygen mask. The monitors beeped steadily, tracking every heartbeat, every breath. Marcus sat in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed, watching the rise and fall of her chest. His own eyes burned with exhaustion, but sleep felt impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her struggling to breathe, felt the weight of her fragile body in his arms. A nurse came in to check vitals, different from the one downstairs. She was older, maybe in her 50s, with tired eyes and a name tag that read Sharon. "You should try to get some rest," Sharon said quietly, adjusting Lily's IV line. "She's stable now. The worst is over." "I can't sleep," Marcus admitted. "Every time I do, I wake up in a panic, checking if she's still breathing. Sharon's expression softened. You're a good father, I can see that. But you won't be any good to her if you collapse from exhaustion. Marcus managed a weak smile. Sleep and I haven't been on good terms for about 7 years now. Since she was born. Since the day I found out she had asthma. She was 6 months old. First major attack was terrifying. I thought I was going to lose her. Sharon finished her checks and made notes on her tablet. The doctor will do rounds at 7. Try to rest, even if it's just closing your eyes for a few minutes. After she left, Marcus did try. He leaned back in the chair, listening to the steady beep of the monitors, and let his eyes drift shut. The adrenaline was finally wearing off, leaving behind a bone-deep exhaustion that made his whole body ache. He must have dozed off, because the next thing he knew, pale morning light was filtering through the blinds, and Lily was stirring. Her eyes fluttered open, still partially obscured by the oxygen mask. "Daddy!" Her voice was muffled but stronger than before. Marcus was at her side instantly, taking her hand. "Hey, sweetheart, I'm right here. How are you feeling?" "Tired. My chest hurts." "I know, baby, but you're getting better. The doctors are taking good care of you." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Daddy." "Sorry?" Marcus felt his heart clench. "Lily, you have nothing to be sorry for. You had to miss work again. I heard you on the phone." Marcus cupped her face gently. "Don't you ever apologize for needing help. You are the most important thing in my entire world. Work doesn't matter, money doesn't matter, only you matter." A tear rolled down Lily's cheek. "But what if you lose your job?" Sarah said. Marcus stiffened at the mention of his ex-wife. "What did your mother say?" "Last time I saw her, she said I was too much trouble. That's why she left, because taking care of me was too hard." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He'd known Sarah had struggled, but he never realized she'd said such things to their daughter. Anger surged through him, hot and fierce, but he forced it down. Lily didn't need to see his rage right now. "Listen to me very carefully," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "Your mother left because she couldn't handle her own feelings. That was her choice, her failure, not yours. You are not too much trouble. You are not a burden. You are my daughter, and I love you more than anything in this world. Taking care of you isn't hard. It's the greatest privilege of my life." Lily's small hand tightened around his. "Really, really. And anyone who makes you feel otherwise doesn't deserve to be in your life." Before Lily could respond, the door opened, and a nurse Marcus hadn't seen before strode in. She was younger than Sharon, probably in her early 30s, with sharp features and an air of authority. Her name tag read Jennifer Hawkins, RN. "Good morning," she said briskly, moving to check the monitors. "I'm Nurse Hawkins. I'll be taking over for the day shift." Marcus nodded politely and moved slightly away from the bed to give her room to work, but he kept his hand in Lily's, providing the comfort she needed. Nurse Hawkins worked efficiently, checking vitals and making notes. But as she worked, Marcus noticed her eyes kept flicking to him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Suspicion, disapproval. "Mr. Thompson," she said finally, her tone cool and professional. "I need to ask you some questions about last night." "Of course, whatever you need." "The intake report says Lily's asthma attack lasted nearly 2 hours before you brought her in. Can you explain the delay?" Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "It wasn't a delay. I gave her the inhaler immediately, but it wasn't working. I called her pulmonologist's emergency line, but it went to voicemail. That's when I decided to bring her here." "I see." Nurse Hawkins's expression remained neutral, but something in her tone set off warning bells. "And where is Lily's mother?" "She's not in the picture. It's just me and Lily." "How long have you been the sole caregiver?" 3 years. Nurse Hawkins made another note. "And you work construction?" "Yes. Why are you asking all this?" She ignored his question. "Construction typically involves long hours. Who watches Lily when you're at work?" "She's in school during the day. I work early shifts, 6 to 3, so I can pick her up. If I need to work late, my neighbor Mrs. Chen watches her." "And last night?" Where were you when the attack started? Marcus's patience was wearing thin. I was home, asleep, in my bedroom, connected to Lily's room by a baby monitor that I still use even though she's 7, because I need to hear if she's in distress. You were asleep while your daughter was having an asthma attack? The accusation in her tone was unmistakable now. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. I woke up the second I heard her struggling. I was at her side within seconds. But you said the attack lasted 2 hours. The acute phase lasted about 30 minutes, Marcus corrected, his voice hardening. I spent that time trying everything I could before bringing her to the hospital. I'm not negligent. I'm careful. Nurse Hawkins's eyes narrowed slightly. Mr. Thompson, I'm just trying to understand the situation. The situation is that my daughter has severe asthma. She's been hospitalized 12 times in her 7 years of life. I know her condition better than I know my own name. I did everything right last night. I'm sure you believe that. The condescension in her voice made Marcus's blood boil, but he forced himself to stay calm. Getting angry wouldn't help Lily. Is there a problem here? Marcus asked quietly. Because if you have concerns about my daughter's care, I'd like to speak with Dr. Patterson. Dr. Patterson is on rounds. She'll be here soon. Nurse Hawkins finished her notes and turned to leave, but paused at the door. Mr. Thompson, I'm going to need you to step away from the bed for a moment. I need to examine Lily privately. Excuse me. It's standard procedure for certain cases. To what cases? Nurse Hawkins's expression remained professionally blank. Please step outside, Mr. Thompson. No. Marcus moved closer to Lily's bed. Whatever you need to do, you can do it with me here. I'm her father. Mr. Thompson. Daddy? Lily's frightened voice cut through the tension. What's happening? Marcus took her hand again, never taking his eyes off Nurse Hawkins. Nothing, sweetheart. Everything's fine. But everything was not fine. Marcus could feel it in his gut. That same instinct that had kept him and Lily alive through 3 years of solo parenting, financial struggles, and countless hospital visits. Something was very wrong. Nurse Hawkins's radio crackled to life. She stepped into the hallway briefly, speaking in low tones that Marcus couldn't quite make out. When she returned, her expression had hardened even further. Mr. Thompson, I'm going to need you to come with me. We need to speak with a hospital social worker. Marcus's heart sank. A social worker? Why? It's just protocol. Protocol for what? Marcus's voice rose despite his best efforts to stay calm. What exactly are you accusing me of? Lily began to cry softly, confused and scared by the tension in the room. Marcus immediately turned his attention to her, squeezing her hand. It's okay, Lily. Everything's going to be okay. But as Nurse Hawkins stood in the doorway, arms crossed, with that look of cold judgment in her eyes, Marcus wasn't sure he believed his own words anymore. The morning had started with hope, Lily breathing easier, color returning to her cheeks. Now it felt like they were standing on the edge of a precipice, and Marcus had no idea why. The small conference room on the 3rd floor felt more like an interrogation chamber than a place meant for family discussions. Marcus sat in a rigid plastic chair, his leg bouncing nervously under the table. Across from him sat Diane Morrison, a hospital social worker with kind eyes, but a professional demeanor that made it impossible to read her true thoughts. Nurse Hawkins stood near the door, arms still crossed, her presence a constant reminder of the accusation hanging in the air. Mr. Thompson, Diane began, her voice measured and calm. I want to be clear that we're having this conversation because we care about Lily's well-being. Our primary concern is always the safety and health of our young patients. I understand that, Marcus said, fighting to keep his voice steady, but I still don't understand why I'm in here instead of with my daughter. She's scared. She needs me. Diane exchanged a glance with Nurse Hawkins before opening a folder on the table. We've reviewed Lily's medical records. She's been admitted to this hospital 12 times in the past 7 years. That's quite a high number for a child her age. She has severe asthma. You know that. It's in her file. Yes, but the pattern of these admissions is concerning, Nurse Hawkins interjected. Many of them occur late at night, after extended periods without medical intervention. Marcus felt heat rising in his chest. Because asthma attacks often happen at night. It's common. Ask any pulmonologist. We're also concerned about some inconsistencies in your story from last night, Nurse Hawkins continued. You said you woke up immediately when Lily started having trouble breathing, but you also admitted the attack had been going on for some time before you brought her in. I already explained this, Marcus said, his frustration mounting. I tried her inhaler first. I followed her emergency action plan exactly as Dr. Chen outlined. When that didn't work, I called the emergency line. When that didn't help, I brought her here. That's not neglect, that's following proper protocol. Diane held up a hand. Mr. Thompson, please understand. We're not making any accusations. We're simply trying to understand the full picture. It sounds like you're accusing me of something, Marcus shot back. You pulled me out of my daughter's room, away from her while she's sick and scared, to question me like I'm some kind of criminal. Mr. Thompson? No. Marcus stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. I've been nothing but cooperative. I've answered every question. I've provided Lily's complete medical history. I've done everything right. And you're treating me like I hurt my own daughter. Please sit down, Diane said firmly but not unkindly. Marcus remained standing, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. My daughter is 7 years old. She's lying in a hospital bed, confused and frightened. She's already been abandoned by her mother, and now you're trying to take away the one parent she has left? The words hung in the air, heavy with emotion. For a moment, no one spoke. Mr. Thompson, Diane said softly, we're not trying to take Lily away from you. We're trying to ensure she's safe. She is safe. She's safe with me. Marcus's voice cracked. I've given up everything for her. I lost my wife. I'm about to lose my job. I have no social life, no savings, nothing. Because every single thing I have goes to Lily. I don't sleep because I'm listening for her breathing. I don't eat properly because I'm making sure she has nutritious meals that won't trigger her allergies. I don't date. I don't go out. I don't have hobbies. My entire existence revolves around keeping that little girl alive and happy. Tears were streaming down his face now, but Marcus didn't care. 3 years of exhaustion, fear, and sacrifice were pouring out of him in this sterile conference room. Do you know what it's like, he continued, his voice raw, to watch your child struggle to breathe, to see her lips turn blue, to carry her limp body and wonder if this is the time you'll lose her? I live with that fear every single day, and I do it alone. So don't you dare suggest I'm not doing enough. Diane's expression had softened considerably. Even Nurse Hawkins looked less certain than before, but it was the sound of the door opening that made everyone turn. Dr. Patterson entered, still wearing her scrubs from rounds, a tablet in her hand. Her expression was serious, but not unkind. I apologize for interrupting, she said, but I think I need to provide some context here. Dr. Patterson, Nurse Hawkins said, straightening, we were just reviewing. I know what you were reviewing, Dr. Patterson cut her off. And I think there's been a significant misunderstanding. She set her tablet on the table, pulling up Lily's complete medical file. I've been Lily Thompson's attending physician for 5 of her 12 hospital admissions. I've also reviewed the records from the other 7. Every single one of them shows a clear pattern of appropriate parental response to a genuine medical emergency. But the frequency? Nurse Hawkins began. The frequency is consistent with severe, poorly controlled asthma in a child her age, Dr. Patterson said firmly. It's not unusual, it's not suspicious, it's simply the reality of her condition. She turned to Marcus, her expression sympathetic. Mr. Thompson, I owe you an apology. You did everything right last night. Your response was textbook perfect. Marcus felt his knees weaken, and he sank back into the chair. Then why am I in here? Dr. Patterson sighed. Because Nurse Hawkins, who is new to our pediatric unit, saw what she thought were red flags, and followed protocol by reporting her concerns. In theory, that's the right thing to do. But in this case, those concerns were based on an incomplete understanding of Lily's medical history and your situation as a caregiver. Nurse Hawkins's face had gone pale. I was only trying to protect the child. I understand, Dr. Patterson said, her tone gentler now. And I'm not faulting you for being vigilant, but you should have consulted with me or Dr. Chen before escalating this to social services. Diane closed her folder. Dr. Patterson, based on your assessment, are you confident that Lily is in a safe home environment? Absolutely, Dr. Patterson said, without hesitation. Marcus Thompson is one of the most dedicated parents I've ever encountered. He knows Lily's condition better than most medical professionals. He's compliant with all treatment plans, he never misses follow-up appointments, and he advocates fiercely for his daughter's needs. If anything, he's too dedicated. He neglects his own health and well-being to care for her. Marcus wiped his eyes, trying to compose himself. So, this is over. Diane nodded. Based on Dr. Patterson's assessment and what I've observed in this conversation, I have no concerns about Lily's welfare. This case is closed. However, Dr. Patterson added, sitting down across from Marcus, I do want to talk to you about something important. Marcus looked at her warily. What? You're burning out, Marcus. I can see it. You're exhausted, stressed, and running on fumes. That's not sustainable. I'm fine. You're not fine. And if you collapse from exhaustion or stress, who's going to take care of Lily? The words hit harder than any accusation. Marcus knew she was right. He'd felt himself fraying at the edges for months now, held together by sheer willpower and love for his daughter. What am I supposed to do? Marcus asked quietly. I can't afford help. I can barely afford our apartment. There are resources, Diane said, pulling out several pamphlets. Support groups for single parents of chronically ill children, financial assistance programs, respite care services. You don't have to do this alone. I've been alone for 3 years. But you don't have to be, Dr. Patterson insisted. Let us help you. Let the hospital's social services team connect you with resources. Because Lily needs you to be healthy and strong, and right now, you're neither. Marcus stared at the pamphlets on the table. Pride warred with desperation inside him. He'd always been self-sufficient, had always figured things out on his own. But Dr. Patterson was right. He was drowning, and he couldn't save Lily if he went under. Okay, he said finally. Okay, I'll look into it. Dr. Patterson smiled. Good. Now let's get you back to your daughter. She's been asking for you. As Marcus stood to leave, Nurse Hawkins stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, I want to apologize. I made assumptions I shouldn't have made. I'm sorry for putting you through this. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. He was still angry, still hurt by the accusation, but he could see the genuine remorse in her eyes. You were doing your job, he said finally. I get it. Just maybe next time get the full story before you make judgment calls about people's lives. I will, she promised. I absolutely will. Back in Lily's room, Marcus found his daughter awake and anxious. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw him. Daddy, where did you go? Marcus rushed to her side, taking her small hand in both of his. I'm sorry, baby. I had to talk to some people about your treatment plan. But I'm back now, and I'm not going anywhere. Promise? I promise. Lily's grip tightened on his hand. I was scared. I know. I'm sorry. But everything's okay now. Are you okay, Daddy? You look sad. Marcus managed a smile, though his heart was still raw from the emotional ordeal. I'm okay now that I'm with you. Dr. Patterson had followed him back to the room. She checked Lily's vitals and smiled. You're doing much better, kiddo. Your oxygen levels are good. Your breathing is clear. I think we might be able to send you home tomorrow if you continue to improve. Really? Lily's face brightened. Really? But you need to rest and follow all the nurses' instructions. After Dr. Patterson left, Marcus settled back into the chair beside Lily's bed. The morning's ordeal had left him emotionally drained, but seeing Lily's improving condition gave him strength. "Daddy?" Lily said softly, after a few minutes of silence. "Yeah, sweetheart. That nurse who was mean to you, she thought you were hurting me, didn't she?" Marcus hesitated. Lily was perceptive beyond her years, probably because she'd spent so much time around adults and medical professionals. She was confused about some things, but it's all cleared up now. "You would never hurt me. Never. Not in a million years." Lily was quiet for a moment, then said, "You're the best daddy in the whole world, even if I make things hard." Marcus felt fresh tears threatening. "Lily, look at me." When she did, he said, "You don't make things hard. You make everything worthwhile. Every single challenge, every sleepless night, every scary moment. It's all worth it because you're you, because I get to be your dad. That's the greatest gift I've ever been given. Even though Mom left? Especially because your mom left, because it means I get you all to myself, and I wouldn't trade that for anything." Lily smiled, a genuine bright smile that reminded Marcus why he kept fighting. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby girl. More than you'll ever know." As Lily drifted back to sleep, Marcus pulled out the pamphlets Diane had given him. For the first time in 3 years, he allowed himself to consider the possibility that he didn't have to carry this burden alone. That accepting help wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. He looked at his sleeping daughter, her chest rising and falling steadily, her color healthy and pink. They'd survived another crisis. But Dr. Patterson was right. He needed to make changes before the next one came. For Lily's sake, and for his own, it was time to stop just surviving and start actually living.